Hello guys, welcome to another stream. We are going live into another stream.
Guys.
Welcome guys, joining another live stream, Cybersecurity Q&A, where we're chatting and trying to help people to enhance their career and improve their chances of landing a new cybersecurity role. So welcome. I see some familiar faces, so good to see you guys. Hello and welcome to another live stream. Hello mate, hello and good evening to another live stream. Welcome guys, hopefully another good evening, chatting all things cybersecurity. We're going to try and answer some of the questions. So should be good chat again. Hello, new people coming in. As I always say, in these streams, my DMs, my comments are filled with people asking questions about cybersecurity. So I'm running some of these lives to trying to answer some of the questions and help you guys to go through some of the uncertainties within cybersecurity. Charlie, I'm based in UK. I'm in London, United Kingdom. So yeah, I've been in cybersecurity for over 10 years. And I think, most common theme what I kind of gather from these is that people have been, either sold a lie through boot camps. They think that, getting a degree or a couple of certificates is going to guarantee you getting a cybersecurity job, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. So, we are trying to answer some of the questions and help essentially people to improve their chances of landing a cybersecurity job and improve their, career. Charlie says, hi, I'm a student in college. Is it worth getting an apprenticeship or a degree? I always advocate against doing a degree. I think degree in cybersecurity is, I think it's a waste of time. I don't think necessarily you need to do a degree to land a job, because I always say to people, you can land a job between 9 to 12 months. Why would you do a degree 3 years that doesn't guarantee you, or improve your chances of landing a job? So there is better ways in it. So I'm against doing the degrees for the sake of, getting a cybersecurity job. Hello. We see more people coming in. Yeah, guys, we're chatting all things cybersecurity. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat, and we'll spend the next 50 minutes or so trying to answer some of the questions and guys help you to work through some of the uncertainties or some of the things that you guys might not know about cybersecurity and help you essentially. Will employers not prefer a degree? No. Why would they prefer a degree? Experience is 10 times worth what degree gives you. And degree, there's no way a degree prepares you for a job in cybersecurity. Most of the time in the degree, you're going to learn the theory. So, like, if I was hiring a person now, why would I choose someone just straight out of university versus someone who's already got 2 years of experience? it's a no-brainer in terms of choice. What are your thoughts on tax evasion? Pretty fun, eh? Well, I think there is two things. There is tax avoidance and tax evasion. Tax avoidance is legal, where tax evasion is illegal. So I think you need to be careful in not to muddy the waters between the two. But, you know, there's people moving across various countries, you know, people moving to Dubai to not pay personal tax. So if people have an opportunity, then, you know, why not? You know, some of the countries, you know, I think, you know, you can pay tax if you get good services. Some countries you pay, you know, a crazy tax and you get nothing for it. And it says, I'm a beginner in cybersecurity, so how should I begin? Well, you should begin by, first of all, figuring out what do you want to do in cybersecurity. There is no, you know, beginning in cybersecurity. You want to be a SOC analyst, you want to be a security engineer, pen tester, GRS analyst. So you need to figure it out first, what you want to do within cyber. And then you can build a path in getting skills and certification that allows you to do the job that you want to do. Mike, that's a good last name. I love the name. I think, you know, there's always memes where people go and order coffee with that kind of name and put it on a cup to shout it out. Do you use Splunk on your workspace? No, we use Azure Sentinel as a SIEM. So it's been a while since I used Splunk. I used before in previous jobs Splunk, but not currently. And it says hello. Jack says started cybersecurity apprenticeship today. The tutor said it's mainly blue team. Any advice? Yeah, I think, you know, I always say to people, I know pen testing, hacking is sexy, but it's almost impossible to land an entry-level, junior-level role in red teaming or pen testing. So, you know, blue teaming is great. There are different couple of pathways, but I think, you know, the common denominator is becoming a SOC analyst. I think it's a great pathway to, first of all, getting experience, understanding what cybersecurity is, you know, getting a couple of years of experience under your belt. And then, you know, that opens up opportunities to go wherever you want to go within cyber. So, you know, it's a great start. And, you know, blue teaming is, I think, the way to go. You know, I'm not against anything else, but I think most of the other paths are just hard. Unless you're going into GRC. GRC is another potential, you know, opportunity to go. Let's see if there's anything else. What did I miss? I heard going for, Ola says, I heard going for the cloud aspect is the best. Well, yeah, because, you know, there's less and less organizations that have on-premise infrastructure. Most organizations are moving to the cloud. So gaining cloud skills is an important aspect in your cybersecurity journey. So yeah, definitely. What do you think about Elastic as EDR? It's not top of the range, I would say, as EDR. And plus, you know, there's less and less organizations now using EDR. Everyone's moving towards XDR. So it's the next sort of level up. You know, CrowdStrike is a great EDR. You know, Defender for Endpoint is a great EDR. There's plenty of these EDRs, and they kind of do what it says on a tin. But I think EDR is not, it doesn't solve all your problems. You know, we always talk about defense in depth. So we need various controls. But I always say to people, you know, there's I've got a YouTube video in my home labs. So if you want to learn how to use EDR, you can use Wazoo is an open source EDR which you can play around with. What's the next question? What Coursera cybersecurity course is best recommended? If they have Security Plus, that's your best starting point. Well, actually no. You have to if you're new to cybersecurity, you have to start with networking fundamentals. So if you know hardware and operating systems, start with network. So Network Plus and then Security Plus. That's the kind of the common pathway, and then it's about building skills that allows you to land the first cybersecurity job. What else? We got? I heard going for the cloud. Yeah, we already spoke about that. Is Azure Sentinel popular? Yeah, Azure Sentinel is, you know, one of the most probably popular SIEMs, because any organization that uses Azure Cloud most of the time is going to use Azure Sentinel. You know, there's other kind of SIEMs, but I think that the top ones is the the CrowdStrike SIEM, the Rapid7 SIEM, and Azure probably. I think Google just built its SIEM, so I think they're gaining popularity. But yeah, Azure is one of the main ones. Is EC Council a good online site to learn CH? Yes, it is, but I wouldn't waste my time doing CH. I think CH is waste of space to do that certificate. Chris EM. Hi, I'm currently studying Google Cybersecurity certificate. Then later, I'm planning doing Security Plus. Yep, that's a great start. But again, Chris, I would say if you have no go and no understanding of networking skills, you skipped one step. I see this all the time. People doing Google certificates, security certificates, but they don't have a clue about networking. If you don't understand networking, you miss the step and you're going to struggle later on. Is there... just disappeared. What did Ola say? Is there any free course you can recommend? No, there's no free courses I could recommend, but what I would recommend is, check in my bio, you'll see my YouTube channel. You got a couple of videos from me. There's one how to build home labs to landing SOC analyst role. Check this video out. And there's another video where I talk about 5 techniques to improve your chances of landing cybersecurity job. So definitely need to check out these videos. Are you Jews? What the hell is that? No, I'm not Jews. I have CCNA, but wanted to get Google certification or IBME. How is it? It depends what you want to do. As a recognized, it's good to have it, but as a recognized certification that employers are looking for, none of them is the one. If you want to do the cybersecurity certification, do CompTIA Security Plus. Check out the job specs. Nobody's asking for Google cybersecurity certification or IBM ones. So I always say you have to double down on what job specs are asking. I have learned networking basics on Cisco Networking Academy. I'm on the right path. Well, it depends. I always say Cisco networking certs and fundamentals, they're all based around Cisco stuff, and nobody really uses Cisco. Cisco is the old school technology that it's on premise. Going into the cloud is completely different networking concepts. So even though you can learn some of the good basics, but I would say you need to broaden your spectrum and look at Network Plus and some other stuff. What tools do you recommend for me to monitor my network in real time? CryptKeeper. Couple of things. You can use Wazoo as an EDR on your endpoints. You can set up, for example, you can build on virtualization Security Onion. It's a Linux distro that's predominantly used for blue team and defensive side of cybersecurity. So there's plenty of tools in there. I think there's Elastic SIEM in there, Logstash that you can forward all of the logs, and you can get all kind of virtualization. You can even plug, for example, Wireshark to look at the networking logs, EDR and endpoint logs. You can forward all of your endpoint logs from any other machines in there, and you can investigate and play around with it. So that's a good start, would be. Let's see what else I've missed. Hello guys, hello, welcome people, join in. You have said CH is a waste of time. What should I major because I'm interested in cybersecurity? I know you guys are interested, but I always say you can be interested in pen testing, but pen testing is almost impossible if you haven't got experience. It's almost impossible to land a job in pen testing. So I would highly suggest think about something else, and then once you get into cybersecurity, then move into pen testing. But if you really want to do pen testing, you have to practice skills like playing with Hack the Box, building home labs. If you want to do a certificate, the only real certificate that you want to do is OSCP. That's the main certificate in pen testing. But again, you doing that certificate is no guarantee you're going to get a job. Pen testing requires experience, and that's the hard bit. Can I be rich by becoming a hacker? Of course. You can become rich in doing anything in cybersecurity. You can become rich by becoming a hacker, but then you can potentially, if you become a bad hacker, you go to prison. But you can do, there is bug bounty programs where people make loads of money and stuff like that. I saw Junior SOC on Cisco Academy. Is that useful? Not necessarily. I don't like some of the Cisco Academy courses because some of the stuff in there is predominantly geared towards Cisco hardware, and that's becoming irrelevant nowadays. Do I need programming in cyberspace? No, not necessarily. Programming is only in very advanced positions, and normally when you start out, you don't need any programming languages. Mustafa says, how do I learn cybersecurity online and be good at it? You can't learn Mustafa cybersecurity online. You need to learn. You can learn skills for specific roles in cybersecurity, but you can't learn cybersecurity by itself. Cybersecurity is an industry; it's not a job. Do you know Bright Gamelli? He has Africa Hound Academy. No, I don't know that. Never heard of it. Okay, what else did I miss? Hello. We've got quite a few people, so it looks like we're gonna have a good evening and a good chat. OPN Sense, Wazoo, Landsweeper, Cali Purple, Sock in a Box. Yeah, exactly. There's some great, I think, skills that people answer some of the questions before. Okay, so we answered this. What's next was there? So how can I get personal information from someone How can I get personal information from someone use their Instagram account? I don't know what you mean by that. What's the best way to learn cybersecurity? University or boot camps? None of them. I don't advocate university or boot camps. I think both of them are a waste of time and waste of money. I always say to people, build your own personal training plan. It costs fraction of both of these paths, and you can get into cybersecurity much quicker. So, yeah. Hello, guys. Hello. Talk of success in web application and API security. I'm not sure if there is a question in that. Brito says, I got accepted into an IBM as a client engineer intern for my OJT. Is a good start to pursue cyber. Yeah, I always say any job, even getting a help desk job, getting any job in IT or cybersecurity to start is a great starting point. It allows you to learn, infrastructure and IT concepts. It allows you to learn how to troubleshoot and find problems, how to work through difficult situations. Whenever you got any experience in IT, you always got a leg up against someone who doesn't have any experience. So it's a great pathway to start, building skills, start learning, and then adding certificates, building on those skills and moving into cybersecurity. So yeah, this is a definitely good start. I have a question. How to damn SAM file in Windows 11? I'm not sure about that. Are you InfoSec? I'm not InfoSec. I'm in cybersecurity. I'm a CISO. I'm Chief Information Security Officer, and I've been in cybersecurity for over 10 years. I work for a fintech business. I also got my own business. I work and help other businesses to build their cybersecurity strategies. I'm a board advisor to a number of cybersecurity vendors. I run my own cybersecurity podcast. I do a lot of public speaking. And I'm trying to help you guys. So, I think I made an announcement today. There seems to be an overwhelming support and need for people to help and understand how to break into cybersecurity. So I kind of started building a school community where, I try to dedicate some time for people who are willing to work hard, willing to learn and help them and guide them into journey to cybersecurity, because I think people have been sold lies with boot camps, degrees and certificates that it's not that easy to get into cybersecurity. Alberto says, I'm doing CH for fun. Well, Alberto, unless you got someone else paying for it, I think you are wasting money, but have fun, mate. Have fun. What else was there? I just missed. The chat gets too busy sometimes, so I have to keep scrolling back. Yeah, we saw this. Yeah, we answered that. TH, yep. How good is Pawn College? I don't know. Never heard of it. Is TryHackMe a good platform for practicals? Yeah, TryHackMe is a great platform. I've used it plenty of times in previous, in the beginning of my career, and I think it's a great platform. But it does not replace, I think, the need to still build your home labs. It's a broad field. How do I know which field suits me? Well, you first of all need to understand what each role means and what each role does. You need to do your research. Nobody's going to help you to answer these questions for you. You need to understand what it entails to become a SOC analyst, GRC analyst, cloud security engineer, and pen tester. And then you can make a decision what appeals to you the most, and then work towards landing a job in that space. I have a cyber threat intelligence exam tomorrow. Any good you can say about this? Cyber threat intelligence is an important aspect. It's a great field to be in. Cyber threat intelligence is a sort of it's a defense mechanism that helps organizations prepare for upcoming threats, prepares to do a lot of research for organizations to understand how threat actors behave. Threat intel guys are the ones who help provide information how to build detection rules for the newest attacks, newest techniques. There's various number of tools that you can use, including OSINT, scouring the dark web and understanding how threat actors behave, what tactics and techniques they use. So that's kind of it. If you've done your homework, you're going to be prepared and ace the exam. As a freshman majoring in cybersecurity, what should I focus more on? Be positive says. Again, guys, it's really hard to give this vague advice and focus. It all depends where your passions lies and what you want to get out of cybersecurity, what you want to do. You have to figure it out, what each pathway means in cybersecurity. Are you engineering type of person? Are you analytical type of person? Do you love writing policies, doing audits? Do you love hacking? All that advice will depend on what you want to do once you get out of college. So, but you definitely need to stack skills, understand how cloud work, how cloud security works, understand how, it's probably good to start learning about AI security because that's coming fast, and, those skills are going to become more and more important in the future. Ian Exaltus, hello, welcome. Cisco acquired Splunk. I think that's something to look at. Yeah, definitely. You said cybersecurity is an industry. Well, I don't know which role you can, go into. You need to figure it out for yourself. I'm in my early 30s and I want to switch careers and get into cybersec. What's the first step? Joe, but the first step is figure out what is the best path and what role would suit your skills, experience, and your personality. Once you figure that out, then it's about building the path and getting a couple of certificates, building skills, building home lab, and then going on a journey of job search. But yeah, I would say, I started out early in my 30s as well. So, about 10 years ago, I got my first job in cybersecurity. And, I wanted to go and become a SOC analyst. And, I spent about 8 months studying every day, about 3-4 hours. And I got my first job. So, yeah, its first step is about figuring what you actually want to do within cybersecurity. Do a bit of research and understand what each role means. What do they do day to day? And what you would think that you're going to love. Once you've done the research, then you can start adding and building skills and understanding what certification is going to help you in that journey. How's cybersecurity growth when you started versus now? I think it's not growing as fast as it used to be. I think obviously there's been a bit of a kind of economic downturn in the last couple of years, or in the last sort of year or so. Especially, I'm in a cybersecurity leadership. That market is really tough. I think sort of mid-market, senior security engineers, cloud security engineers, DevSecOps, AppSec engineers, that market is still buoyant and there's loads of, jobs. But leadership has been a bit tough in that space. But Chris says, "Can I follow you?" Yeah, of course, guys. There is my LinkedIn in my bio. There's my YouTube in my bio, and I've just obviously added the school community in my bio. For a nominal fee, I'm gonna spend some time with people in my school community and guide you and help you guys on your journey into cybersecurity. So I'm gonna start building out and do some more in there. But yeah, of course, because I post different stuff on LinkedIn, different stuff on YouTube, so you can follow on all the platforms, guys. What is a platform to learn perfectly cybersecurity and ethical hacking? There is no platform to learn it perfectly. It's about practicing skills, but Try Hack Me is one of them. There is Cyber Defenders. Have a look at Blue Team Labs and stuff like that. There's plenty of these places to learn and add skills. There's probably quite a bit of stuff in the chat. Yeah, then we answered that. Do you mind helping us out by teaching few students as giving back to your community? I will, but I'm only gonna spend some time teaching people is through school community. The time is precious, and I'm very busy. I'm running, I'm a leader. I own my own business. I go on my podcast, and it has to be worthwhile for me to do that. So I'm doing this for free every Wednesday. But some of the other stuff, especially teaching wise, it's going to happen only via school. I'm currently studying IT completely. School channel is, I just put my school channel in my bio, so you guys are going to be able to find that in my bio. Zoltas, are you doing cybersecurity advents on Try Hack Me? No, I haven't done kind of hands-on Try Hack Me stuff for about 4 or 5 years. Since I kind of got into leadership, I don't really have much time to be very hands-on. The only last things I've done is I did a lot of work building AI models, training AI models, just to understand how to secure AI. That's kind of my last projects that I've done. Is with Try Hack Me is make a man good ethical hacker. It can, but it only teaches you very simple concepts. Try Hack Me is not the end of the world for ethical hacking. Hack the box and then building your home labs. But it's always about building skills. Because there's a Cisco packet tracker tracer beneficial. For the home network, yeah, potentially, but it can be very resource intensive running 24/7. So Try Hack Me is the same thing. It's always the same question. What real-time project can one build based on cybersecurity? It's building home labs. As I say, in my YouTube, there is a video I built how to build a home labs using SOC to become a best SOC analyst. So there is a project there where I say using virtualization you can build 3 machines. So Kali Linux, Security Onion, and Windows Server. Connect them in a network, and there is an exercises and stuff where I suggest to do, and then you can play around with that. But that's probably one of the best projects you can do. I already answered that Try Hack Me question, guys, so I don't know why someone's spamming. Why do I need to start Bug Bounty? You don't need to. You can start if you want to, but you don't need to start Bug Bounty. There is a skills bootcamp, cybersecurity and networking. Is that good? It depends how much it costs. Most of the bootcamps, I think, are overly expensive and waste of time. You can do the skills that are taught or the courses that are taught in that for like probably, fraction of the cost doing that yourself. So if you need, really hand holding, then some of the bootcamps, yes, it could be helpful. But, I think most of the bootcamps are a lot of money and they don't offer as much as they promise. Shula, you need to learn about AI. Basically, you need to understand how to potentially secure AI, how you can create guardrails for AI, what kind of tools you can use to, for example, there are now tools being built about plugging in AI tools in the pipelines to scan against, security controls against guardrails and stuff like that. So you need to understand there is, for example, OWASP AI security checklist. That's great for like it breaks down what you need to be mindful for legal teams, IT teams, because AI kind of opens a whole new can of worms in terms of security space. There are AI models as well who you can plug in and train and test your model from bias, from hallucinations. You need to understand how, for example, whenever you go AI, obviously you got data, you got training models, so you need to lock them down to prevent models from being injected with fake data, prevent from data being stolen. Your models become your intellectual property, so you need to learn all of those aspects. Young Hacker says, I would love to join your Discord community or any community you... I don't have a Discord, but as I say, I'm building a school community, so that's in my bio. You can join that. So, whatever else is coming, whatever else we skipped. Can you penetrate into systems? CM says. Yeah. I used to do that. Obviously, I'm not into hacking currently. There's a very good roadmap on TryHackMe. It explains roles. Check it out. Yeah, exactly. TryHackMe, there's some good stuff about, explanation on roles, especially if you're starting out, guys. That's should be your first kind of point of relevant, because, the amount of times I hear people saying, how do I get into cybersecurity? There is no getting into cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is an industry. You need to get into, find a path and find what role you want to do within cybersecurity. How good is Docker Labs? I haven't played with Docker Labs in a while, but Docker is another good concept to learn. Docker and Kubernetes, because once it depends where you are in your journey. But for example, I've done a couple of years ago, I've done CKS, which is a Certified Kubernetes Security Specialty Certificate, which is once you start moving and working in the cloud, for example, organizations now are moving away from building virtual machines, and they're using a lot of Kubernetes and containers and containerization. So again, it's a good skill to add and play around. But I haven't played with Docker Labs. I used I don't remember what's the platform. There's a platform that works with CKA and CKS certificates to teach you Kubernetes. What else? Is there anything else? Any more questions? What field of cybersecurity is niche from hands-on perspective where talents are difficult to find? There's a few. I think application securities and DevSecOps is kind of niche, and it's it requires a number of skills that's kind of hard to come by and find good DevSecOps people. Anything to do with blockchain security is kind of hard to come by. What else is there? And obviously AI security is kind of new and upcoming, so these are kind of probably the three that would be hard to find. What else was there? We answered this. Is red team or pen testing it because AI also building their own pen tester? Yeah, but AI is never going to replace humans. Yes, AI can use some of the automation and some of the stuff to do the low level task, but AI is just AI. AI can do a lot, but it can't do what humans do. So I don't think AI is going to replace us in cybersecurity. It's definitely going to be a helper to us, but it's not going to replace us. Cisco introduction to cybersecurity is helpful for beginners. Yeah, potentially is helpful, but again, you have to do a lot more than just that. Cassius Owner says, you've said it all. Yeah, I try to. Trendit says, how to find a great mentor in cybersecurity. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your place to find mentors and find those. Muzzy says Killer Code. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So yeah, I used Killer Code and I used Code Cloud when I was doing my CKA and CKS back in the day. Yeah, there's some great labs because, damn, CKS is a if any of you guys done it, CKS is a tough exam. You know, you got 2 hours, but you have to complete 20 tasks. And I think the first time I've done it, I ran out of time, so I passed it from second time. But yeah, CKS is a tough nut to crack. And there's loads of people who don't have skills. You know, to secure a whole Kubernetes cluster is you have to have a lot of knowledge, and you know it's a good skill to have for and gain experience. Yeah, Muzzy says, yeah, exactly. CKS is definitely one of the hardest exams I've done in my time. What are your thoughts on specializing in cloud security? Greetings from Honduras. Welcome from Honduras, guys. Great to have you. Yeah, cloud security is amazing. More and more organizations are moving into the cloud, and cloud security is always going to be needed, and is great career path. But cloud security, again, there is no thing as cloud security. You're going to be specializing potentially in cloud security engineering, so you need to learn networking, security fundamentals, learn AWS security specialty, Azure security, specialty certificates. You need to learn infrastructure as code languages such as CloudFormation and Terraform, and then you can build the path into cloud security. But yeah, it's definitely a good way to go. Which institutions can I learn to become a CEH or pen testing? How long will it take me? It's going to take you forever. You can do CH obviously on EC Council website, but as I said, I don't rate it. And CH is a theory exam. It's not going to teach you how to become a pen tester. That's why I don't like CH, because CH is a pen testing certificate, but it's a theory certificate. You're not learning how to do pen testing. It says, could you tell me as a beginner how could I become a SOC analyst? I have some AWS background. Well, if you go Security Plus certificate, I think that's the kind of the main one to start with. If you go some networking knowledge, you don't necessarily need the Network Plus certificate, but you would need to know the concepts from the CompTIA Network Plus. I would also sometimes advise people to do, if you're going to work with Microsoft technology, to do SE 200, which is specifically Microsoft Security Analyst certificate. And then it's about building skills, as I say, check out my home lab video on my YouTube. I talk, there's plenty of exercises, plenty of skills. Then you can build, learn how to use Wazoo and as EDR, learn how to use SIEM, learn how to use OpenVAS as vulnerability scanner, and how to patch systems, how to harden systems, stack those skills, and then you're going to get into becoming a SOC analyst essentially. Do you do online classes for cybersecurity or network technician? I don't do classes, but Henry, I'm starting to build school community where I'm gonna help and support people who want to get into cybersecurity. So you can check it out and find it in my bio. Yeah, Muzzy says, yeah, definitely CKS was hard. What was the other? Hello, how do you think should I go to learn cybersecurity in 16 years? I assume you don't want to learn it in 16 years, but you are currently 16. As I always say, it's about learning the fundamentals. If you understand hardware and operating systems, you can skip CompTIA A+. Then you need to learn networking fundamentals from Network Plus, do Security Plus, and then it's about building skills. It's about doing home labs and practice. I've done all 5 certifications. That was by far the hardest. Yeah, definitely. CKS was hard, Mazzy. I struggled with it a lot. I think CKA was not too bad, but CKS was hard. What do you think about OT ICS security? I'm considering either that or AppSec. Yeah, OT is a big field, and the skills are, again, is one of the skills that are hard to come by. OT's security is normally, and the ICS is about industrial control systems, and organizations that work in manufacturing, they're always going to need OT security skills. So it's definitely a niche career, and once you're in, you're probably going to be quite successful. So yeah, it's definitely a path. If I was you, I would lean probably towards AppSec, because I think that has more legs to grow. But they're both great paths. Is cybersecurity for beginners on ISC squared certification helpful? It all depends, helpful for what? I think ISC just created a certification to make a lot of money. I don't think it's necessarily helpful, and I don't think you're going to find that certification on any job spec. I mentioned what is the most important certification to have, and you're going to find on 95% of the job specs, which is Security Plus. Your analyst, what advice will you give a mom with toddlers who wants to study cybersecurity? Well, you know, I did kind of, I didn't have obviously toddlers, but I was working full time when I started training. I was a physical security guard. I was used to work, 4 days on, 4 days off, 12-hour shifts. So I would say get yourself some kind of tablet. Go on Udemy. You can buy video courses on Udemy, and I especially love Jason Dion's, the way he delivers, like, A+, Network Plus, Security Plus. All of these courses, you can watch it on a tablet. So whenever whenever toddlers are sleeping, whenever you have a spare minute, watch the videos and keep practicing. I always say, watch the video, buy the video courses. I think the videos are they're like $15. They always do deals on Udemy. So, and then buy the practice exams. Once you get consistently over 85% on the practice exams, then do the real deal. But that's how you would start, I would say, your analyst. Yeah, no problem, guys. Happy to help, and hopefully, we're going to train a lot of flourishing cybersecurity experts in the near future. And, my goal is always say, I just want to help people. And hopefully, once you guys become successful, you're going to pass it on and help other people to break into cybersecurity, because, the industry is full of scams and lies. And I think, we need to stick together and help each other to get better and get more people into cybersecurity. Let's just see what would they skip. Yeah, we answered this, I think. What's your background in cybersecurity when you started? Trent, it says. So I was very intentional when I built my career in cybersecurity. I started working in a SOC. Then I went to manage the SOC. I went to architect and build SOCs for other organizations. Then I moved into cloud security engineering and cloud security architecture. From there on, I moved into DevSecOps, and building application security programs. I built pen testing strategies for the businesses. I did my master's in digital forensics, and then I wrote my master's thesis was how to build SOCs using matter attack. So I kind of went through all of the niches within cyber until I got to the leadership, because I wanted to be comfortable in every single avenue of cybersecurity before I got to the leadership. So that's kind of, and I came from physical security. I was, 10 years ago, I was doing physical security. I answered this evening, sir, from RSA. Welcome, guys, from South Africa. How does one secure employment after college with a CompTIA degree? Vector, go on my YouTube and check out. There is a video I posted recently, in the last week or so. I talk about, people just blindly apply to cybersecurity jobs, and you are competing against hundreds of people. I set out 5 techniques and 5 things that you need to do every single day to improve your chances like 10 times of landing cybersecurity job. SSP, if you want to do practicals, again, home lab, check out my video on my YouTube. And on also go, guys, on TryHackMe. Is it worth taking a bachelor in applied security? No, Victor. I really don't think it's worth doing degree if you want to get a job in cybersecurity. I really think that you can build a self-learning path without spending 3 years in university. I landed a job in cybersecurity in 8 months, so I think you can land in 9 to 12 months without doing a degree. How to find the first non-paid internship? Trent says, Trent, you need to talk to charities. Charities are always going to work or look for people who are willing to work for free. So charity is a great way to find internship. Henry Peters, tell us your story, how you got into cybersecurity self-taught. Yes. So I talked a bit about my career, but I didn't talk about the beginning. So I was working in physical security, and I needed and I knew that I'm not going to go far in becoming a leader in physical security, because it was all about army buddies, and I didn't go to army in UK. So I thought, how can I transfer my physical security skills into another field? And I always loved technology. So I found a mentor, I found a couple of people who were willing to help, and I essentially built a training plan. I wanted to do about 4 certifications, train myself, build skills, build home labs, and how I want to get into cybersecurity. So essentially, and I worked diligently every single day for about 3 hours studying non-stop. And then I was really fortunate because, and I always advocate about this, getting out, talking about your learning journey. So I went to do a webinar about att&ck, and my hiring manager saw that, and that's how I landed my first role. Essentially, my hiring manager, or role that I was pursuing, they saw what I did in presenting as a junior, even talking about att&ck, and that's how I got the role. What else was there? Yeah, we answered that question. Would you mind training some of us who are interested in the cybersecurity space as part of giving back? As I said, school community, yes. Hi Marius, great content and down to earth, Davey. Thanks, Davey. I try to kind of sift through some of the nonsense and some of the crap that is littered in this industry, and aside from doing business and making money, but I also try to help people and and make people understand what cybersecurity is. Where are you? I'm in UK. Is there anything else? What was that? Please, let's create a group on social media where you can train some of us who are interested in getting into tech. Yep, I already created a group, guys. As I said, there is a school community I created. It's in my bio, and that's where I'm gonna offer extra help outside of what I'm doing on these live streams. But yeah, I've got another maybe 5 minutes or so. So if you've got any last final questions, we can. Since you're in the field, can you help us land a job in UK remotely? I can't help you land a job, guys. It's all about you. I can give you advice how to improve your chances of getting a job. I can't help you land the job. Sergey says, I watched your video on YouTube about scattered spider threat. Very good. Thanks. Yeah, I think that video was quite good. Araxol is a free college group. If you're talking about school is not free. And as I said, if people want to be trained and actually guided and mentored, school is going to be it's a paid community. It's not expensive, but it's got to be worth my time. I'm so busy that Hashim says, hello brother, my question is a university degree necessary in this field? No, degree is definitely not necessary. Trying to see you next video. Yep, good to talk to you guys. I always it's always great to see and chat with you guys. I've got a question on YouTube as well. What are your thoughts about IoT devices and their prospects? IoT devices, I think, is a big problem. IoT devices are, you need to be understanding where you're getting them from. People buying IoT devices from China, which potentially has, backdoors and very common passwords. You need to be very wary what you plug in your home network. You need to make sure that whenever you buy IoT devices, you reset the default passwords, and you need to make sure that you know what you're doing. Do you have a HackerOne account? No, I don't. I don't really do much hacking and hands-on stuff anymore of this. Thanks, Alberto. Thank you. The name of the community group is called Cybersecurity Careers Guide. That's the name of the community in school. I kind of added a nice picture. It's Cybersecurity Careers Guide. You should be able to find it on there. It has a nice picture on it. Cybersecurity Careers Guide. That's the community name. Be positive. Is Cisco Packet Tracer beneficial? Beneficial in what terms? Be positive. It all depends on what you mean by beneficial. Beneficial to who, what, in what terms. Your thoughts on Hack the Box CDSA certification? I don't even know what that is, Hack the Box. Let me just quickly have a look, guys, for you. Go hack. I know that Hack the Box and Try Hack Me now started doing the certifications, but you have to understand, I think that any certificates like that, they're good for building skills and potentially can help you advance. And if it's free, especially, I think it's a good thing to do. It depends, if it's not paid, then yeah, have a look and do it. But you have to understand, some of these new certificates, they're never going to appear in the job specs. So no employer potentially is going to look for that. But it's a great thing and shows proactivity. Of course you can get a job remotely in another country, yeah. I'm doing computer systems engineering. How can I venture into cybersecurity? It's just about building skills that cybersecurity requires. You already are within IT field, so you always got a leg up. So yeah, just keep building skills, building home labs, doing cybersecurity certifications, and Ishmael, and you can get into cybersecurity. How one become an ethical hacker? By practicing, building home labs and learning ethical hacking skills. I'm done with Network Plus, Power Ranger says. What's next? Security Plus. Once you've done the networking fundamentals and you understand the networking, Security Plus is the most important. I have AZ900, 104, SS900, 300, 200, AZ500. Advice on what to study. You can have 10 more certifications auto aviation. That's not going to improve your chances of landing a cybersecurity job. You see, most of these certifications, they'll teach you theory. Your goal is to get skills, is to understand and learn how to do things hands-on. So whether it's cloud, whether it's becoming a socanalyst, whether it's building home labs, you can do, as I say, I always say to people, you can do 20 certifications. That's not going to necessarily allow you to pass interviews or get your cybersecurity job. It's about building skills. But yeah, guys, I have to shoot. It has always been a pleasure. Next Wednesday, same time, we're running the same live. Join us then. I'm going to create an event. Make sure to subscribe and get notifications on so you know when I'm going to be live again. As I said, check out my school community, Cybersecurity Careers Guide, where we're going to hopefully work a bit more hands-on and help people to land their cybersecurity jobs. But until then, I'll see you next Wednesday. And if I have time, I might squeeze in a few more lives. Have a great evening. It's always been a pleasure. Hopefully some great advice and guide for you. And I'll see you soon.